All right, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, Hashem Kodash. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. All right, so I was just, my brother just came home from the plantation, and we just found out some breaking news that WHO, which is the World Health Organization, just declared an international emergency with Ebola in the Congo, man. And if you notice, the Congo is in Africa, okay, in the central part of Africa right now, man. And it just says what? It says that here's an article from the Washington Post. It says WHO declares Ebola in Congo to be emergency of international concern. Now, a couple years back, a few years ago, back I believe was it 2013 or so, or 2014, Ebola was here in America, man, and I believe a few people died off of that. Okay, there was one guy who came from I believe some part of Africa, and he came over here. I think it was Texas, Houston, and then he died. Okay, and then it became a big thing for a little bit, and then it died off. Okay, and now you can see that it's resurfacing. Okay, now these are all things that have been prophesied in the scriptures, man, by Yahushua. Okay, and he did it so beautifully because he went in chronological order, man. Okay, he went in a nice little sequence, and if you're paying attention to the signs, you could tell that, damn, these things, you could check them off prophecy after prophecy, man.
That's it.
Okay, now we're going to bring out the precept, and then we're going to touch into this article real quick, all right?
Right. This is Luke 21. I'll start at verse 7. It says, And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be?
Khan, when shall these things be? Because 2,000 years ago, the disciples were hoping that the end was when Yahushua was on the scene, man. But there's everything needs to be done in decency and in order, and it is appointed time. Okay, so the end, which is now, begun 2,000 years ago, man. And those same men who were with Yahushua back here again to witness those promises that he gave 2,000 plus years ago. Okay, go ahead.
It says, And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass?
So what signs? So those signs are what? We're looking at those signs, and Yahushua is going to give you those signs. Okay, now those signs are what? To wake up the elect, okay, to let them know that the countdown has begun, and it began 2,000 plus years ago, but we're almost at the end where the nukes are going to be set off very soon, man. Okay, the lever is going to be taken off. Like, they're going to take off that lever, the angels, okay, and then this destruction going to be all hell, all breaking loose, man. Okay, because it's little by little, but you can see that it's all adding up, man. And you could tell that as soon as these things are all checked off, we're going to be out of here, man.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah, and what are signs for? Like, even when you're driving and you have the signs, the road signs, it's a notification, all right, warning you of something to come,
right?
You know, something ahead. You know, it might tell you construction ahead, or it might tell you in 1.2 miles, this exit leads here. So it's basically, like the brother said, directions pointing you in a certain location or a certain destination, that's why we're looking out for these signs. So it says, and he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, or I am Hamashiach, and the time draweth near, go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified.
This is what we're having now. You have the whole world getting so scared because Trump is in power, and they're afraid that, with this guy in power, anything could happen. You know, even the allied nations, so-called NATO countries, are afraid that Trump is in power. They're talking about even these nuclear powers that they have, nuclear missiles that they have. They're afraid that it's in the power of Trump. You know, because the president, believe it or not, has a button every day with him, whether he's in a plane, in a car, whatever, that in case of a nuclear attack, he can just press of a button and everything gets shut off, man. Okay? So they're afraid that Trump is in power because they believe that he's reckless, man. He's a reckless man. Okay? So that goes to show you that this is all written off, and these are all things that are gonna be happening, man. Okay? So go ahead.
So it says, but when ye shall hear of wars and commotions,
right,
be not terrified.
Wars and commotions, back to what I was saying earlier, so like I kind of lost track on that. But wars and commotions, so you have this whole thing with the tariffs that's happening with different countries. You have this thing that was happening, I believe 2-3 weeks ago, almost a month ago, with the whole Iran situation. Okay, Trump is just brewing war left and right. You have war even happening here in America with the whole Congress, Senate, all these different things. Trump versus these 4 so-called horsewomen, all this different bullshit that's happening. And it's all going to lead into what? Civil war. Okay, a racial tension which is being brewed up by Trump. If you notice, there's an Edomite going up against Jake women. Okay, and what's that going to do? It's going to rise up the Edomites of this country, and it's going to also rise up the Jakes of this country, and they're going to come into a clash.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
So it says, and I'm running back again from the top. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. And you notice how just like a couple of years ago, it started with North Korea when they shot off the missile, and then you had Trump shoot missiles into Syria, which all these things were rumors of war because people were like, "Yo, what's gonna happen?" And then it cooled down for a while, and then you had the whole Iran thing where people were terrified about literally a war breaking out. Okay, now that's the first few things that started happening. All right, of the major signs, which while these prophecies are taking place, as they take place, all right, you're seeing previews or trailers of the bigger prophecies that are to follow.
Right.
You see? So it's like you're watching a movie of a war on commotions prophecy, and then in the movie they show you a commercial of the microchip, you know, which is something that's going to happen after. But this is the first movie or the first sign. So it says, then he said unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom.
Right. So that goes into what? The racial tensions, man. Okay, in the nations, we're talking about the 18 nations, we're talking about the so-called Japanese, so-called Chinese, the so-called Africans, the so-called, even the Israelites, the so-called white people, the Edomites. Okay, so all these different nations are going to come to a head in all these different countries, man. Believe it or not, it's not just, what you're seeing now is just the prelims. Okay, you're having all these different protests, which is going to lead into different things because protests, it has to get violent for people to understand. Because what's going on in France right now, I believe they're in the 35th week, 35 weeks straight of protesting. Come on, man, that's damn near past a whole year of protesting. Because there's like what 52 or 54 weeks in a year, and you're at 35. Come on, bro, you're like 2/3 out of the year. Now, if that keeps on happening and there's no change, the reason why you're protesting, nothing is coming out of it. What are you gonna do? You're gonna start taking different measures. You're gonna start getting desperate. Okay, you're gonna start destroying shit, start fucking shit up, and when that happens, the government is gonna put their foot down and start clamping down on the people. Okay, and then you're gonna have that tension between the people and the civilians. I mean, the government and the civilians. Sedition. There you go. That which is also prophecy. Okay, and these are all things that were prophesied to happen in this generation. You know what I'm saying? So this generation is not gonna pass to all these things be fulfilled, like Yahushua said.
Okay? You got in Hong Kong. I saw an article. It says how they got a police and they were basically whooping his ass. You know, and this is part of the little because them Moabites, man, they don't play games. All right, they do not play games, man. They are vicious, straight up, you know, people. Okay, so going on, it says so now you got the like it says the race wars, the nation against nation, and then next it says and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places.
Now you paying attention. We just had the earthquake that hit in Cali, which was one of the biggest that, you know, is being talked about the most. I believe it was last week or 2 weeks ago. That's when it hit, 7.1 earthquake. Which before that, there was I believe it was 6.4.
Yeah.
6.4 earthquake that hit, and then 7.1. So this is just and then also I believe Indonesia have been having mean earthquakes, man. Okay, Alaska is always getting hit with earthquakes, and then I believe today. There's another country. There's another state in the West that got hit.
It was in
Oregon, I think.
Yeah.
Was it Oregon or
Indiana or something?
Washington?
No, that's what I'm.
Yeah, get that. You know, but these are all states that get hit with earthquakes, man. They're all getting hit on the West Coast, man. Okay.
Yeah, it's Oregon. Yeah.
Oregon, yeah. Come on. So
5.4. I think.
5.4, yeah. 5.4 earthquake, man. You know, and the news is not talking about these things, man. Unless it goes mainstream where social media is pushing it, that's when they have no choice but to talk about it. But if you're not paying attention to the signs, man, the news is not going to tell you nothing, man. So you're going to be left in the dark. Okay, and speaking of the dark, very soon, the East Coast is going to get hit with mean darkness, man. Okay? We've been saying it through the Spirit. Yahweh Shemi Ashai got the Spirit on us to be saying these things, and you people are not paying attention, man. Okay? We see it through the Spirit. The next thing that happens, because last week, Saturday, or the Saturday that just passed, there was a test run. Okay, the whole of Manhattan got blacked out. All right, but very soon it's gonna be where the tri-state area is gonna get blacked out, and you know what that means. Okay, and then right now we're headed towards hurricane season, man. So what happened with Sandy Hook? I mean, Salakia. What happened with Hurricane Sandy? Okay, imagine that times 2 or 3 or 4. Okay, where there's no control and then there's no electricity on top of that. Man, a lot of people are gonna go crazy. and then you got famines going on top of that. People are hungry in those kind of desperate conditions. What's that saying that says what? Desperate times call for desperate measures. So you're gonna have a lot of people doing exactly what the scripture said they're gonna do, going into cannibalism, going into committing murders, killing each other, okay, doing all these different things, stealing, murder, all kinds of things, trying to kill themselves, suicide, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's all gonna happen very soon in your very eyes, man. Are you ready for that? You on social media clowning around. Are you ready for the things that are coming, man? The lights are gonna go out very soon. Are you ready for that?
You're doing these stupid challenges. You know, here it is. You see how hot it is outside. What happens when you don't got an AC? What happens because there's no electricity?
Right.
You know, no, nothing to cool you off and all that stuff. Or even in the winter, nothing to warm you up. You know, all these different things. People, all these basic necessities people take for granted.
Right.
All right. You're not gonna have. You want to spit in mouthwash and then put it back in the thing. The Lord's gonna have you where you ain't gonna have lip balm, mouthwash, toothpaste, nothing. Not even water. You know.
Yeah.
So it says here, we could bring out the article afterwards. It says, and great earthquakes in diverse places, and famines, and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven.
That's it.
And speaking of famines, you have the floods that are going on. You have now, like the brother said, we're coming into hurricane season. Okay, these farmers haven't been able to plant any crops. Okay, they are severely affected, but people don't care because there's still food in their grocery stores. Not knowing that the grocery stores, they order food on demand. All right, they don't have a supply somewhere where emergency they can go into a pantry and bring it. No. They order it on demand. So what happens when they order it and then the trucks are like, bro, we ain't got nothing to bring you. You know, then what? Then whatever's in the store, because they order it when what's in the store is finished. So now it's finished, but they can't get more to come in. It's not like you have some in stock and then now we can't get, so let's make do with what we have. No. It's finished. All right. The scripture says, suddenly shall the full storehouses be found empty.
Right.
You know, roughly paraphrasing the Apocrypha. All right. In Book of Esdras. But
and guess what? This all gonna affect gas prices too. Not only here in America, because you're gonna have these floods hitting different states that the East Coast and all these different states rely on for gas. Those states are gonna get hit, so the pipelines are gonna get messed up, and these wars that's happening with different countries that the United States imports their oil from. Guess what? They're gonna get pissed off too, with Iran especially. Okay, that if there's a war that breaks out in the Straits of Hormuz, man, it's over. Okay, call it a day. It's done. All right. There's these industries, all these different things happening. Quiet, shut down, finished. Okay, the end of America is nigh. If you don't believe that, you're gonna die with this place too, man. This place is going down quick. The stock market, the economy, all these different things. The signs are there, man. The signs are there, and we're doing our job. We're doing our job, so your bloods are off our hands. We're telling you what's coming. That's why the Lord said to what? Give them warning from me. Give them warning from me. All these things we're saying is not a joke, man. But you guys are gonna keep clowning around just like the time of Noah. Keep clowning around, joke around, and then when the time hits, when it hits close to home, that's when you're gonna wake up and say, wait, time out. Those men were right. Those men were right, and they're out here. They're gone. They're not there no more. There's no questions to ask. There's no answers to give. The only thing you gotta face is your death. All right? Now, death is coming. Pestilence. That's what we're gonna get into. It says, who declares Ebola in Congo to be emergency of international concern? Okay, it says on July 17th, the World Health Organization declared the latest Ebola outbreak in Congo to be a public health emergency of international concern. Now, when Ebola broke out a few years ago, it started in Africa, and it started again in Africa. Now, understand the CDC has, they have these little samples, water. They have samples of all these different diseases, man. So what makes you think that they're not gonna put this out there? They want to depopulate the American population from 300 plus million people. They want to bring it down by 90%. How are they gonna do that? By war and disease and famine. Okay, these are three ways to depopulate the population. You think these devils ain't got all these things planned out?
Well, they could easily just say, there's an outbreak in Congo, but then now they can just release a sample here in the U.S. and then claim somebody came from Congo over here and they started spreading it, blah 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 blah. You know, and then they might make up the story. Oh, he was on this plane, we contained it, but not knowing they're spreading it in a different area, so they can come out and say, oh, we missed somebody, and now it's spread over here, and now it's over here. In the video game The Division, the way they did it was they dropped drops of the disease into the money that was being printed and passed out. And money is something that it goes just like that. Everybody's touching money and passing it around.
Transitory.
Yeah. And that's how quick the disease spread, was through the money. You know?
Hey, and there's this new thing with a flesh-eating bacteria that's out. I saw brothers doing videos on that, man. Keep it up, brothers. But look, a flesh-eating bacteria, man, it's only the beginning. People are not even alarmed right now. They're not alarmed right now. Wait till that shit hits like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, where there's densely population, man. Miami. Florida. Oh, Florida's gonna get fucked. If you live in Florida, yo, you better start moving. Florida's about to get hit heavy. Remember this video and go back to it when it happens, man. Florida's about to get hit heavy, man. Okay, that sodomy that's going on over there, man, the Most High about to destroy all that shit. Okay, the South, all the things that's happening there, man, you guys are fucked. A lot. Very hard too, man. And it's coming. Okay, guess what? So the flesh-eating bacteria shit that's happening is only gonna intensify. Soon they're gonna bring out a new thing. I saw Dabu doing a video. He said the Congress was talking about telling the military that they have something called they're weaponizing ticks.
Oh yeah.
Okay. What the hell is that about? Weaponizing ticks? Well, there's more. There's more to come. Like the scriptures say, the Most High has created these different animals for what? For the day of vengeance.
Yeah.
Roughly paraphrasing. So these are things that people don't even know about. There's different animals that are being created daily that are gonna come out here to devour, man. Okay, so you people, Americans, man, you guys are soft. You have something heavy coming your way.
Yeah, and them ticks usually you see them on dogs.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
Right.
You know, so here it is. They could put them in the animals, and then they spread through there, because you got a lot of people that either own dogs or cats or, you know, whatever it may be.
Right.
You know, and next thing you know, you got ticks. You're like, whoa, how the hell? You know?
It says Nairobi. It says the World Health Organization took the rare step of classifying an ongoing Ebola outbreak in the eastern Congo a public health emergency of international concern.
Now I remember like a month or so, a couple of weeks ago, when the outbreak started, all right, they were talking about, oh yeah, there's an outbreak, but it's not really that big of a deal because they got it contained.
Right.
All right, but now they're coming out and saying that it's an international concern, because now they're realizing that they don't have it contained, you know, and it's getting out of hand, because it said it spread to the city, whatever, it spread from the containment facility, the area where it was it started, to one of the main cities.
Right.
So now they're having fears that, you know, it can spread even more and more.
It says international concern just days after the first case of the virus was confirmed in the major city of Goma on the border with Rwanda. Okay, so Rwanda about to get hit too, because these people always exchange, man. If you're at the border, you go and trade and all these different things. It says the last time the global health body declared an international emergency for Ebola was during the 2014 to 2016 outbreak in West Africa that killed more than 11,000 people. It says
that was a test run too.
That's it. It says the designation means the current outbreak qualifies for a higher level of global vigilance and mobilization to stem its spread. That's going to go into what? They're going to start pushing for a lot of vaccines. We're going into what? Flu season very soon. And flu season is the perfect time for them to spread some shit. Okay? So everything looks like it's headed towards the later part of this year. The economy looking crazy with the fourth quarter. Okay? The famine, where we're talking about harvesting, but there's nothing to harvest. We're talking about diseases. We're talking about natural disasters. Everything looks like it's headed towards the later part of this year, man, 2019. Gotta look out for that, man. Look out for that. It says Ebola began spreading in Congo's conflict-ridden North Kivu province last August and has infected more than 2,500 and killed nearly 1,700, according to official health ministry figures. It says the WHO declaration represents its highest level of alert. It is invoked only in response to the most dire threats and has only been issued 4 times before. Wow. It says the first time was in 2019 during the H1N1 influenza epidemic, which was a swine flu, and that is believed
2019,
2009, 2009 during the H1N1 influenza epidemic that is believed to have infected up to 200 million people worldwide. The second in May 2014, when a paralyzing form of polio re-emerged in Pakistan and Syria. The third in August 2014 with the Ebola epidemic that devastated West Africa and the fourth in February 2016 with the Zika epidemic in Brazil. So these are all different diseases and pestilence in different parts of the world. They didn't do that just for nothing. It's gonna reemerge, and it's gonna get worse, and it's gonna be the last time it happens. Bill Gates came out talking about something called Disease X. There's a reason why it doesn't have a name. It just says X. Okay, X what? A disease that's gonna X out the masses, man. Kill. That's what X means, to kill, to destroy. Okay, so we're talking about diseases that's gonna be Xing out a lot of people, man. Depopulation is a big thing on their agenda. If you go to Georgia Guidestones, they have an agenda which is it's part of the Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, which is depopulation. Depopulating the masses, the population, the world's population from 7 billion plus to 500 million. How's that going to happen? Through wars, disease, and famine. Okay, these are three ways to depopulate the any population, like we said earlier. Okay, it says the decision was made by a committee of 10 scientists who had 3 times earlier declined to issue the declaration.
See, that's what I was saying. They declined to issue because they didn't. First, when it happens, they want to first try to get it under control because they understand that, resorting to the last means is gonna mean panic. Because now if they're coming out and saying, "Look, man, it's this bad," people are gonna panic, and that's the last thing they want. But it's showing you that it's really that bad if the last thing they want is what they're doing now. This is the last resort, like it says. Okay, but how many people right now even know about this? How many people even care? Oh, they're not gonna see. They're not gonna listen. They're not gonna care till it comes on CNN and they're telling you, "Hey, this is happening here. This is happening." Then people are gonna, "Oh, you heard about the Ebola thing?" Like, bro, where were you when the scientists declared it? Right. And that's because the news, the way, because they're owned by these elites, they bring out information on their time. Okay, not on the time where it's actually happening. They might bring it out on a last minute time to where when you find out, you're now bugging out and things are already spread. You don't have any time to prepare or anything like that. Because you find out right off the the rip like that, because that's how bad they'll set you up. And you got people who they still don't care. You might tell them, go tell somebody, "Yo, did you know that there's an Ebola? Oh, where is it? It's in Africa. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't really care about that. That's all the way in Africa. Yeah. See, that's all the way in Africa. Tell them, yo, that shit's in the Bronx. It's in New York. Then you see how they're gonna react.
Yeah, even Jake so even that they're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, cool, no problem. Start partying and shit." It hits home, and it becomes a thing where it's being enforced. That's when they start getting alarmed. Continue. It says, the committee said delays in funding had constrained the response, and hoped the declaration would add to the international community's sense of urgency. But they also cautioned against using the declaration to impose punitive travel restrictions on countries in the affected area. The declaration should not be used as an excuse to impose trade or travel restrictions which would have a negative impact on the response and on the lives and livelihoods of people in the region.
So basically they're saying that although they've declared this, we're not going to use it as an excuse to stop trading and stop, flights and travel. How stupid is that? You're basically saying that we're going to allow the chances of it spreading to go right ahead. If there has a 10% chance of spreading, we're gonna make it 20, right? Because we're not gonna take caution and travel nothing, because we care more about the trade and the money we're making than the possibility that this can spread overseas. Right. So they want to wait. They don't want to have a prevention. They want to have a quote unquote cure, or treatment. They wait till it happens and then because that's their plan. The whole time that's been their plan.
Right. It says people in the region, said Professor Robert Steffen, chair of the emergency committee. An effective new vaccine had some success in slowing Ebola, but the rate of infections has increased recently, and health workers worry some cases are going unreported, making the virus's spread harder to contain. Attacks by armed groups and violent pushback from locals frustrated by the ubiquitous presence of health workers have forced the international response to pause from time to time, allowing the outbreak to grow. There have been around 200 attacks on health workers since January alone, and 7 have been killed. This is a quote. It says, "This is the most complex environment there is for an Ebola response," said David Gressley, the UN's emergency response coordinator, in an interview last month in Goma, North Kivu's capital. Another quote says, "We are still at least months away from a conclusion," he said. North Kivu has an international airport, 2 land borders, and is close to 2 others. The province is closely linked by business, family ties, and language to communities across the borders in Uganda and Rwanda. Besides the province, including Congo's sprawling capital, Kinshasa, North Kivu is the vast country's most populous. Okay. On Wednesday, a fisherwoman died of Ebola in Congo after having spent time last week in Uganda, where she reportedly vomited repeatedly in a market.
Ooh.
So that's spreading right there.
Vomited repeatedly, and this is a disease that can kill you.
Yep.
You know, and show you how wicked Esau is. He has a way to prevent it and to stop you from dying, but he's not going to give you a cure for it. He'd rather have you die.
Right.
You know, so best believe, yeah, there's a cure, but if you contract it, he's going to let you die. And they're going to tell you in the hospitals, yeah, we'll do whatever we can. Just take this, take that, take this. At the end of the day, they're not trying to do shit for you. You're just going to be a statistic that is going to be to promote the fear and the agenda that they want.
Yep. It says the WHO said nearly 600 fishmongers in Uganda might be targeted for vaccination, but that no confirmed case had yet been found to have stemmed from the incident. In June, 3 people belonging to the same family who were sick with Ebola traveled to Uganda seeking medical treatment. A 5-year-old boy and his 50-year-old grandmother ultimately died in Uganda, and another family member was repatriated in Congo. Around 24 active cases have been caught at border points since the outbreak began, according to the WHO. So what about the ones that haven't been caught? It says Uganda has experienced multiple outbreaks of Ebola and similar viruses since 2000.
And you know the thing is, man, it's not going to be just Ebola.
Yeah.
All right. The Most High is going to have all sorts of different types of diseases coming out, you know, left and right. You know, oh, this came out, We're still trying to get this and study this, and these vaccines aren't even working because this disease is mutating and it has a different strain and a different strand, etc., etc., etc. Man, this is just a quick, you know, video just to put it out there and let you know that these prophecies are coming to pass, man. Okay, and this is just an example, all right, of things to come, like the scripture says, shadow of things to come.
That's it.
All right, but this is just just like a sample. Okay, the Lord is just doing demos, showing you, look, man, we're going to put some here. You see how he's setting it up, you know, and then it gets more and more intense. Just one of these calamities that's written up in here could take down a civilization, all right? But the Lord is having all of them hit at once, all right? A racial divide, that can take down a country, okay? A civil war, that could take down a country. Pestilence could take doan a country. An earthquake of a large magnitude. Watch the movie, what is it called? Aftershock, all right? It shows you, all right, how an earthquake completely changed the lives of people, you know. So all these different things the Most High could use, but He's using all of them at once. Okay, that's what's coming to this place, man.
Yep. I'm gonna skip a few because we don't want to make this video too long, but we're gonna jump a few, and we'll put this in the description so if everyone wants to read it, go ahead. Yeah, but basically it says U.S. officials, because we want to talk about the U.S. now, because we talk about Africa, people don't care, so we'll talk about the U.S. where you live at. U.S. officials maintain that the risk of virus spreading beyond the region is low, and that Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and South Sudan are at greatest risk because of the number of people from North Kivu who move across portions of those borders where there are also no health checks. They have also expressed concern that many cases may be going unreported as conflict and lack of infrastructure limit accessibility to many areas. U.S. officials have called the WHO guidelines around declaring a public health emergency arbitrary, meaning it's a governing thing. It's like a whole thing. It's an agreed upon thing. Okay. Appearing before a House panel June 4th, Centers for Disease Control Director Robert Redfield was asked about earlier decisions by WHO to refrain from declaring the Congo outbreak an international health emergency. Okay. Now it says, I'm gonna skip again. It says the fact that CDC has already activated its own emergency operations center speaks on its own. Morrison said they see it as an emergency. Okay. But the United States' presence on the ground is extremely limited as CDC workers are barred from entering the zone of active infections, partly due to security concerns stemming from ongoing clashes there.
Hey, well, people are clashing because people know that, look, man, these devils might go there and end up making it worse. You know, they come there, oh, we're trying to give you this. Look at what they did with the Tuskegee Project.
Right.
All right. So after something like that, do you think people are really willing to trust them? No. Okay, but hey, man, that was an article.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that was basically it on it. You know, we just got the notification and wanted to bring it out for edification, man, because these are all signs that the Lord said to look out for. All right. So with that, let me end it with this scripture. This is 2 Ezra 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And that's what we see going on, man. Okay, so we're in that time, man. It's not a time for games. It's not a time for dragging your feet. It's a time to just keep on pushing, man.
Yep.
All right, but, Lord willing, this video is edifying to the elect, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, and Shalom.
Shalom.